Welcome back to Dinner with the Durestas. Today we will be making Italian meatballs based on my grandmother's recipe. So let's get started. First, let's gather all of our ingredients. You'll need 1 pound of ground beef, 1 pound of sweet Italian sausage, 1 pound of hot Italian sausage, a small can of Italian style tomato paste, dried Italian seasoning, 1 bell pepper, 1 sweet onion, 2 to 3 ribs of celery, 2 eggs, about a cup of breadcrumbs, and 2 cups of Parmesan cheese. We're going to start by sauteing our onions, green peppers, and celery. Once you chop them up, you should end up with about 1 cup of each. I'm going to put them in to saute. And I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil to keep them from sticking. And some kosher salt to help draw out the moisture within the produce. This is my preference to do it. My grandmother actually did not saute the produce before, but I find that it makes them softer. It gives just a better consistency to the meatballs in general, and it speeds up the end cooking process a little more. And basically, you're just going to keep this on medium heat, stirring occasionally until the onions are translucent. Now it's time to assemble the base for our meatballs. I've taken the onions, green peppers, and celery off the burner to let them cool slightly before we add them. So now it's in a big mixing bowl. We're going to put our ground beef, our sweet Italian sausage, our hot Italian sausage, 2 cups of grated Parmesan cheese, 1 cup of breadcrumbs. These are Italian seasoned. And what to mention about breadcrumbs, these are pre-packaged breadcrumbs. You do not have to use pre-packaged. That's just a matter of convenience for me. I do like to freeze bread if it's getting stale. This is actually tomato bread from the Mennonite Market near our home. It makes fantastic breadcrumbs, and if it's frozen, you can actually break it up and put it into a food processor and blend it into crumbs. So you don't have to have that added expense, but if you don't have them, what you can buy at a canister at the store will be more than sufficient. We're going to add 2 eggs for binding, 1 can of tomato paste, be careful not to cut yourself because it will be sharp. Our Italian seasoning. My grandmother always just measured it into the lid and dumped it in, so I do the same. I would estimate that that's about 1.5 to 2 tablespoons. Just a little bit of kosher salt, because remember, we have salted our produce, and we have cheese, a salty cheese. In addition to that, Italian sausage is also very heavily seasoned, so you don't want to put too much salt in because it will get just too salty. And we're going to use pre-ground black pepper because I don't like the way fresh ground black pepper is in a meatball, because you don't want to get bits of the pepper, and really it's just for flavor. We're going to add our slightly cool produce. And now it's time to mix by hand. We're going to blend all of this together, trying carefully to integrate everything while not overworking the meat, because if you blend these too hard, and I know some people actually use a mixer to do this, I find that the meatballs are just tough, and it's definitely not a treat if you have a chewy meatball as opposed to just a really juicy melt in your mouth meatball. So we're going to mix and mix. Again, this is very, very messy. Working it all in. Okay, you can pause it now. Okay, it's time to roll out our meatballs. This is where you get to make a decision. What size meatballs do you want? I use an ice cream scoop or melon baller to kind of keep them roughly the same size. Larger ones for an entree are great. It also takes less time to roll out. Smaller ones are better if you want to freeze them. If you do spaghetti and meatballs, in fact, in my house, growing up, we never really did spaghetti and meatballs. Meatballs were always a main course, but I do find that the smaller ones actually just freeze better, and this makes a lot of meatballs. So we're going to, usually what I do is I scoop them out, and this may be slightly controversial. I like to do a little pre-bake to my meatballs because I don't like the greasy texture that it gives to the red sauce when they're cooked in. A lot of, older Italian cooks would only take this mixture and put it directly into a pot of boiling sauce and let them cook that way. But when you do that, just the fat from the Italian sausage and the ground beef just creates a layer of greasy fat that, while it can be skimmed off, it's just not worth the trouble. So I like to do a little pre-bake on these. I put them in the oven for about 25 minutes at 400 degrees and then take them out and let them cool and drain off some of that, more of that grease before I actually put them with the sauce. Okay, but quite a few of these scooped out. I still do this by hand. Again, you don't want to work them too much. You just want to push them together to make a ball. And I fill up my well-loved baking pan, inherited from my grandmother. And usually we'll do the entire tray. So scoop them out and roll them. Okay, we have rolled out approximately 110 mini meatballs. We're going to pop these into a preheated 400 degree oven for about 25 minutes. Okay. So our meatballs have come out of the oven, and this is where we need to drain them. Typically, you would use a tea towel. I will tell you, the problem is those will stain this and it will never come out. So if you have white ones like I do, you want to look for something else. So we're actually going to use a dark bath hand towel, and we're just going to pull them off out of the pan and set them on the towel to drain. And if you come closer, you can see how much of the grease we took out. So if you would just put these directly in to a pot of sauce, all of that would have collected in there. And if you're using quality sauce, you definitely don't want that kind of fat in it. So I'm very happy that we removed it from these meatballs. Again, there is about 110. That is a lot of meatballs. I'm going to cool some of them completely and freeze them for later. They are completely cooked, so all you would need to do is to put them in sauce at that point. And luckily though, we have some homemade sauce from my family's recipe that we're going to finish these in just a minute. Okay, we're going to finish off our meatballs in the oven with the red sauce we previously made. I'm going to spread a little in the bottom. Then I'm going to add the meatballs. We're going to eat this as an entree, and there will be 5 adults eating, so probably about 6 to 8 meatballs per adult. Typically I serve this with a side salad, whether it be garden or Caesar. I like to have a green vegetable at every meal. So very often that will be either steamed broccoli or some type of side salad. A few extra just in case, for leftovers, or if someone wants a meatball sub later. Finish it off. Pour the rest of the sauce on top. Spread it around. And we'll cover this and put it in a preheated 400-degree oven for 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, the meatballs are out of the oven, so let's make a taste. They're so good. It tastes like my childhood, as it should, and really does make me miss the people in my life who I shared this with before my children. As always, bon appetit.